Hey, this is Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge, and this is Alive and Loud.
Welcome to Alive and Loud, guys. It's been a while, and we're glad to have you back with us. Today, we've got a special guest. We've got Mr. Mark Tremonti on the show. Mark, thank you so much for being on the show today and taking time.
Thanks for having me.
So, I want to ask, man, like we were just talking about, Nashville was just recently a sold out show. And that's something that I've noticed is kind of a trend lately. You guys are selling shows out left and right, which is something that you're used to over in Europe, but this is something that's kind of newer here in the States. Can you tell me what that's like to start seeing that trend from over there kind of follow over here now?
Oh, it's great, man. We've been fighting the good fight for 20 years now here in the States, and we never gave up. Started small, grew bit by bit, and now, this has been one of our best selling tours we've ever had here in the States. So it's been great.
Yeah, and the reaction to Pawns and Kings, your new record has been phenomenal. I was fortunate enough to actually review it and listen to it before it was released, and I couldn't help but notice there's just a lot of influences from previous records all put into this record. So what was it like getting all of that together and then putting it to a stage and getting out there and touring with this first leg of the Pawns and Kings tour?
It's always a tough thing when you record a record to translate that live. You sometimes you add things to a record that like you sing over a part you're not usually singing over, and you gotta play a complicated guitar part while you're singing. You got to work all those things out. For the most part, we like to do that in pre-production, so we know that these songs after they're recorded are going to translate well live, and they all have. They've all been, some of them have been challenging, but we got them under our belts.
Yeah, I would say you guys are definitely overcoming that challenge by and large. Now, you just played a hometown show in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your brother's post. He was super happy for you, super proud. That was awesome. Could you tell me what it was like to be on that stage in Detroit and just get that hometown love and just feel that while you're playing?
Oh, it's awesome, man. It's I had a lot of my friends come out from my grade school days, and we still kept in touch. I had my aunt come out and her friends, and the crowd was awesome. Right out of the gate, I knew it was going to be a great show. Big old huge theater, and they were alive, man. It was a great crowd.
Yeah, it looked beautiful, and that's a place that I would love to catch a show and to take photos of a show there. So I'm
Oh,
gonna have to check that out and cross it off my bucket list one day.
yes.
I know that you have done the Detroit, you've done Nashville. How much more of this leg of the tour do you have left?
We finished in Chicago on the first run, and then which is kind of another hometown for me because my brothers live there, and I lived there for 3 years, so I've got a lot of friends there. And then we take 2 weeks off, and then we head back out in the States again for another 3-week tour before we take a month off. Well, I don't take a month off. I'm going into the studio in April, and then we head out to Europe after that.
Uh-oh, going to the studio in April. Do I hear another Tremonti record coming?
It's a secret record. It's a another top secret album.
Okay, so kind of like the Sinatra was top secret, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I gotta say, man, touching on that subject, what a great project, what an amazing cause
Thank you very much.
that record was. I've been following that journey with you, and just to see all the obstacles as an artist that you've had to overcome, and just seeing all the accolades that's been coming your way from various artists around the world, just realizing hey, this guy isn't just a rocker, he's not just in metal, like he's a crooner, he can do it all, and he's very versatile. But this cause, the National Down Syndrome Society, what an amazing thing. And I know that you have, that's very close to you. But also dealing with, I've worked in that line of work before, and the kids are just phenomenal. And also just being a dad myself, that
Oh,
speaks
yeah.
great volumes to your fatherhood. So very
Thank
big props to you for that.
Probably the most satisfying album I ever did. So it's I've got a show coming up in just a few weeks. I'm playing March 2nd in New York for the National Down Syndrome Gala. So me and the Sinatra guys are going to go do a show there, and we're getting close to that $1 million raised mark, and that's our first goal. And I want to get to 100 million, not with this record, but I want to encourage other people to do the same type of project for Take a Chance for Charity.
Yeah, and I know that's something you touched with Johnny, Drinks with Johnny. You were talking about Take a Chance with Charity, just kind of stepping out of your comfort zone and doing things that might be, you know, funny or take it serious or whatever. And I think that's such a great thing to encourage other artists out there to do that, you know, because it's such a great cause. And I think that it's something that we can all get behind. Now, I definitely want to shift gears to this tour because this tour is very special and that your tour mate is somebody you're very familiar with. Going back to your first Tremonti record, it's Mr. Wolfgang. And tell me what it's like to be back playing shows with Wolf.
Oh, it's awesome. You know, I'm just so happy for how far he's come since, you know, since he recorded those albums with me. You know, when he played with me, he was kind of the shy bass player that he kind of stood in the shadows a bit, you know, and now he's up there up front singing, writing all the songs, performing all the songs, and the feedback has been tremendous. You know, people love his albums, and rightly so, because it's a first record's great. His second record's awesome too. I've heard a bunch of that as well. So people got a lot to look forward to with the band.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that was the thing. Did you ever see that coming out of him, you know, back whenever you were playing with him in that first record? Did you see the possibilities of where he was going to be?
Yeah, you know, he was dabbling around with you know, trying to put something together as we were finishing out our recording. So he was definitely looking forward, you know, looking what he's going to do with the rest of his life, you know, because he's still a young dude.
Yeah. And that's great that you were kind of able to shepherd him into the business in that way, aside from other things that he was already involved with. You know, he'd already had some experience in the industry, but kind of a new way whenever you guys introduced him into the band. So that was really awesome to see, and now kind of become full circle moment with you guys in Alter Bridge on this tour. It's been absolutely an outstanding. Like, they were phenomenal in Nashville.
Oh yeah, they're great. The crowd loves them every night, and you know, they bring it, and every guy in the band's amazing too.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things. My friend John is his guitar player. I've known John since I think 2016, whenever I first saw them in Louisville with To Whom It May, and
Yeah,
it's just really awesome to see everything John's been doing and how he's grown as an artist and different projects working with him. So yeah, great group of guys. Mark, I'd love to ask you also, with this Pawns and Kings record, it's a very big record. The mixing on this record, everything seems very full. It's got a great wall of sound, and it translates really well live. And that's one of the things that I was taken back by, because I've covered you guys with photos for the last 7 years. I'd say at least since the last Hero tour. And one thing I've noticed is that you guys bring it every album cycle live with the record. So that's something you guys can hang your hat on at the end of the day. But what is your favorite thing about playing, you know, new material off of this record? Is it something that you guys feel that you can feed off of, or, you know, learn different ways of playing it?
well, it's good to see the crowd's reaction to the songs, because, you know, you have your favorites as a band, and then you never know what's going to end up being the crowd favorites live. So and it's just exciting to play new songs, you know, because whenever you're a songwriter, you know, you obsess with whatever record you're on at the moment, and then you kind of forget about it and you move on to the next. So this is the record that we're focused on now, and this is the one we want to, you know, do our best at showcasing.
Yeah, and you guys are doing phenomenal at that. I've got a fan question here. I took a poll earlier this morning, and I asked fans if they were one-on-one with Mark, what would be the one question that they would ask you? And I've got an answer here from Mr. Eric Diaz from Nashville. And he says, Mark, one of my favorite book series is the Red Rising Saga, and I started it years ago because you recommended it on your Twitter. So thank you. And if you have time, what are you reading now? Any recommendations?
Let's see. I just finished you know, I read the what's it called? Hail Mary, which was great. You know, the same author who did The Martian, which is a great sci-fi book. I just finished the new Stephen King fairy tale, which was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm reading a lot of biographies, Sinatra biographies. Those are all great. My father's daughter was a really good one by Tina Sinatra. Um, and geez, The Way You Wear Your Hat, just finished that one. Um, gosh, I mean, I've read so many darn books at this point.
And these are all recent?
Those are all recent, yeah.
How do you find the time to fit all of this in and still, because I've been in the green room with you. I don't know if you remember this, but let's take it back to about 2018, Top Golf in Nashville.
Yeah.
Tremonti, this was one of the first legs of the tour with Dying Machine. And I remember you were doing a guitar tutorial for, was it Sweetwater that day? Yeah. And I just remember listening to you, and you were saying how you're always playing. And that's just something that, you know, you've been doing this now for so many years, and you never seem to get tired of playing. So how do you manage to find time to fit all of this in and read and ingest? Because I feel like what you do outside of playing on stage is a way for you to absorb knowledge, and it's helping you actually write material with Alter Bridge and your solo efforts. So how do you do it, man?
Yeah, you know, my what makes me tick is being productive. You know, I like going to bed at night and saying, you know, I finished this, I finished this, I finished this. So right now I'm writing a novel, which is taking up most of my time, writing a fictional novel.
Okay.
And that's and it's not, doesn't tie into the first book I wrote. This is a completely different thing. So I need to balance time between that, playing the instrument itself, and then writing songs. And those are kind of my three things I balance when I'm on tour. When I'm at home, I have my kids, so that takes up my entire day. So when I'm on tour, I like to work nonstop.
Now I want to shift gears a second. You brought it up because that's the one thing that a lot of people look up to you about, is you're a father, you know. And one thing that we recognize is that it's not easy being a parent, but it's not easy being a parent who's working as hard as you work, but you somehow manage to pull it off. And I got to say, from one dad to another, major props, because, you know, I've got two daughters myself, and they're the world, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But you're just such a radiant dad, and you're so proud of your kids. And it's just really awesome to see how wholesome your family life is, man. And I respect the shit out of it. So what is it like, you know, coming back home from like a tour or like a small run and just seeing those kids, man? Like how does that feel?
Oh, it's the best. You know, I get to see them in 3 days. So it's gonna, like, I can't wait. They're flying out to Chicago, and then you know, yeah, we'll fly home together and spend the next 2 weeks just spending family time before I got to go back on tour again for 3 weeks. It's you know, it's awesome, especially when you have a little baby. You know, it's you know, my boys are big now. I got a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and you know, they're excited to come out and see dad's shows and get on the tour bus and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they love that since they were kids, so it's great. I think they've
now how old is Stella now?
She's almost 2.
That's crazy. My youngest, Olivia, she is almost 2. July 1st will be her second birthday, and it's just, wow, man, time is just going by so quick.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta say, man, I don't know if you remember Corbin, Kentucky. I gave you those images for Stella, and then the one giant band photo from the last time you guys were actually with Tremonti at the Ryman opening for Daughtry. And that was one of the coolest things for me as a photographer, is just being able to pay homage to somebody who, you know, you really look up to, and somebody who's really paved the way for a lot of other artists that are influential in the music industry, like yourself. But to have that, you know, I've got that right here, you know, with your signature on it, and not to fan out or anything, but as an artist, what you strive to do is you strive to have your images connect with somebody, like you want your music to connect with somebody and resonate and to move people. So I truly, it was a humbling moment to have that reciprocate back to me. So again, I thank you very much for that moment.
Well, thank you, man.
And in a closing remark here, I just want to say, Pawns and Kings, You've had this out now for just a little over what, 4 months?
When did it come out?
November? Was it was
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
very
It's probably
recently?
maybe October.
Yes, very recently.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I love about going to your live shows is the merch. I
Hmm.
talk to Chris every chance I get. That man slings merch like it's nobody's business. And I said, give me a shirt. I don't care which one it is because they're all great. And then he looks at me and hands me this one with the metal
Yeah,
font. And I
that's
was like, whose idea was that? So I got to know, whose idea was the metal font? Was it yours?
I, th- I think it might have been Brian's. I
Really?
think he had seen some other band do it, or somebody do. Uh, maybe it wasn't a band. Maybe it was a Christmas thing or something about somebody doing the metal thing. And
Yeah.
I think we had done something like that in the past, but I don't think we ever did a shirt.
Yeah. I think it might have been Fortress, kind of with
Hmm.
the skull and the crown. But yeah, that was fantastic. Uh, Mark, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Do you
Thank
have
you.
anything coming up that you can tell us about that you're really excited about? I mean,
Yeah,
what's going on in your life, man? What can fans expect from you and from the guys in Alter Bridge here this year?
yeah. So on March 2nd, I have a show with the Sinatra guys at the National Down Syndrome Society Gala in New York City. So there's some seats still ready, available for that. And then, like I said, I'm writing a novel. I don't know when it's going to be done, but it could be a year or two from now. Who knows when it'll be done? We're going to be touring with Alter Bridge all throughout the year, and I'll be writing the whole time for whatever comes next. So there'll always be something happening.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it here first. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Alive and Loud. Make sure you check the description below. I'll show you how you can help the National Down Syndrome Society, how you can get involved in all of the efforts and raising that money for such a great cause. I'll link you guys with tickets to the next show. Make sure you don't miss the Pawns and Kings tour. We've got Mammoth, Wolfgang Van Halen on tour, and Red with the first leg, and then the second leg was just announced. You guys are not going to want to miss this tour. I promise you, this is one of the best ones I've seen lately. So check it out. Mark, thank you so much for coming on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.